The following semester at school was tough and stressful. I took fewer classes compared to last semester. The classes I did take were more interesting because they were about electricity. However, I still had trouble. I was starting to feel burned out with all the work, and I found it even harder to stay focused and interested. Other problems outside of school made this semester even tougher. I learned some things about Nikki that were beginning to stress me out. She was 3 years older than me, and I always wondered why she didn't have a job. I didn't really take that as really a wrong way or anything, but I didn't mind the fact she didn't have a job, and I wouldn't mind, if she never did. But some reasons behind it some reasons about why she didn't have a job started to become more clear. I started to realize that Nikki did have a disability, and I didn't realize that it was pretty severe. Nikki was kind of slow intellectually. When I first met Nikki, I didn't think she really had a disability. I thought she was kind of normal. However, during the course of the relationship, I started to notice that she did seem to have a mild sort of disability, but I didn't really think about it much. However, I didn't fully realize the extent of her disability until after we got engaged. I noticed she never graduated from high school. She couldn't drive, and she couldn't keep a job because she didn't really have the mental capacity and capability to do so. And this became apparent. A disability such as being slow is something that didn't make me love someone less. Finding out that Nikki was slow later didn't make me love her any less either. However, the things she did as a result of her being slow did start to make me wonder if the relationship was truly compatible in the long run. She often never understood Whenever I talked to her, she often didn't really understand what I was talking about, and this made me feel like I couldn't relate to her on a close level. I couldn't talk to her about anything that interested me because she would only nod her head and not truly understand what I was talking about. And the crazy thing about it was I think she thought she understood what I was talking about, but she really didn't. I felt we couldn't really relate on a personal level as a result. Her lack of understanding in addition made it really tough when we had arguments. I've always been good at walking in other people's shoes and resolving arguments. I've always been the first to try to work something out if there's a disagreement. However, my quality of compromise wasn't any good with Nikki. Arguments always seemed to not lead to a compromise or agreement with her. I know that is kind of normal with most relationships. But whenever she was upset with me, I felt like I couldn't reason with her because she couldn't really understand what I was saying. I began to understand why people such as my dad and my stepmom got frustrated with me when I didn't understand directions. Sometimes Nikki would get upset at me because she mistakenly would think I did something bad when in truth I didn't. I didn't. For example, if I would tell her that I was going to hang out with my friend Jared that night alone and have a guys only night, she would get upset because she would jump to the conclusion that I was going to have many guys nights from now on, like I was subtly making a decision that I was going to see her less. She often had bad anxiety. Again, that one in itself wasn't anything that would cause me to love her less, but she often was paranoid, and felt like I had to walk on eggshells to tell her things in a way that would make her not assume things were worse than they were. She would often look at things in a very negative light. She liked to cause drama with her friends and tell me about negative stuff a lot. I was trying to master being positive and trying to spread love, and I felt like this kind of stuff wasn't really good to hear all the time. It was a good opportunity to help her out, but sometimes to help serve and try to make her feel better, but sometimes I felt like she only liked to talk about negative stuff but not really want to change it. I often would tell her not to be negative, but that would make her feel even more upset because she thought I wasn't ever going to listen to her anymore. Nikki started getting pregnancy symptoms. At the end of March, I noticed she seemed to have symptoms of pregnancy. I knew Nikki always took birth control pills though. However, I heard that they don't always work. Dave's girlfriend, for example, got pregnant because her birth controls failed. She started feeling pains in her stomach, started craving odd food, and felt sick. After a while, I concluded that she was indeed pregnant. I told all my friends that I was going to have a baby. They were shocked. As the weeks went on, I started to notice Nikki's stomach was getting bigger. I was kind of excited in a way at first, but I was also really nervous. I was in addition not looking forward to telling my parents. I was in fact terrified. I was so terrified that I decided I should wait until the end of my Kettering spring semester before telling them. I thought waiting for them would at least keep them off my back so I could focus on my schoolwork. Nikki was not being responsible while she was pregnant. She continued to take birth controls even after I told her she shouldn't. I heard that when you take birth controls and you're pregnant, it can harm the baby. I knew there wasn't going to be any reason to take it because she was already pregnant, and I heard that it can be harmful for the baby. Nikki, for some reason, however, refused to listen to my advice and continued to take it. With that matter, I don't even know why she took it. I guess she didn't really get it for some reason. I don't know. She continued to be... It was like she was being stubborn about things and wouldn't listen to me when I felt like I had good advice in preparing for a baby. I tried to stay calm as I could. I tried to look at this as a spiritual perspective and did pretty well. I, however, snapped a few times due to Nikki's lack of responsibility. We got into quite a few arguments that never really led to working out in a really peaceful manner and compromise. I always felt like I was starting to feel like my future was heading down a wrong path. I was worried that raising a baby with someone that really didn't have the mental capacity to take care of it was going to lead to something difficult, a difficult future. I started to pray to God and ask if the baby could be aborted in some way. I knew it was kind of bad to think that, but I knew what it would be a hard time bringing up a child in my life, never mind having to raise Nikki as well simultaneously. The end of the school semester was like seeing the light at the end of a tunnel. Nikki took a pregnancy test and the test results were surprisingly negative. I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. It really looked like she was pregnant. I was certain she was pregnant. This shock suddenly led to immense relief. I was extremely happy that we were not going to have a baby because we were definitely not prepared to take that kind of responsibility. Why did Nikki get all these pregnancy symptoms? Why did her stomach appear to get larger? I still often question that. However, I came up with a theory. Your mind can be a powerful thing. When Nikki thought she was pregnant, she and I were so certain by it that her body actually started to respond to it. Her belief made her cause pregnancy hormones that actually kicked in.